a favor, huh? Cut that shit. Top of the morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world today, to my amplified unit, salute. We'll get to the AEW review in just a little bit for Dynamite, February 2nd, 2022. A controversial finish, yet again. CM Punk versus MJF. Half of the community doesn't know what the fuck just happened. The other half saying, hey, it's exactly what should have happened. So I know everybody's thinking, well, what's BC's take on it? Oh, I'm gonna have a take on it, all right. I'm gonna flip this community upside down. First in this cold open, man, I wanna kind of put an exclamation point on a video I put out yesterday, revolving around Shane McMahon. I did that as impromptu as could possibly be, man. I got that news that Shane McMahon was not gonna be around for Mania. Shane McMahon got Das Boot by his own father, Vince McMahon, and I thought, man, I got a hot take on this. I really would like to talk about it, but I didn't have that much time. But then I started to think, well, wait, I gotta talk about this, man. I got a camera, even though I'm out in the world. I'm in the fucking Lexus, but I got a camera. I happen to have a lava mic. So I said, I got the camera, I got the mic, I can try to find a half an hour, man. Let's fucking do it. We cut a video, and the response that video has already gotten, dude. That thing took off pretty damn, I mean, that went out late yesterday afternoon. And you guys really took to that shit, man. It was a hot topic in the pro wrestling world. And you guys voiced out, man. And it was so good to see a lot of you showing that respect. Everybody's showing that respect for Shane McMahon. In an industry, in this community that is filled with people that have narratives and agendas, it was so refreshing to see people have a mind of their own and give respect where it's due, which obviously is Shane McMahon. I mean, you know BC has so much respect for Shane McMahon. This is a dude that doesn't need any of this. This is a dude that he didn't like the direction WWE was going in years ago. And he had a few arguments with Vince McMahon. He stood up and he knew that he didn't want to break up his family, but he knew he couldn't be there. So this is a dude who easily could have just sat back, inherited the company one day if Vince never ended up selling. Or at least get a shit ton of money, even if. But no, he took off. He said, I don't need this. I'm not going to break up the family. I don't agree with where this is going. I'm out. And this is a dude who actually fucking left. Left his own father's company to make it on his own. This is a dude who started out in WWE in the warehouse. He was fulfilling orders in the warehouse. He wasn't just given the silver spoon. This is a dude who was working in the warehouse at 15, bro. Had to fucking learn the ropes, literally putting up the rings and refereeing. Had to learn all about the producing and the announcing. He had to learn it all. He wasn't just given any free ride. This dude worked his ass off while all the while graduating over in Boston. Still fucking doing the college thing. Still having his business acumen to actually have outside ventures just in case he wanted to fulfill such. And guess what he did, man? With that outing with Vince McMahon and that relationship fell apart professionally, he went out and he created his own successful business that he went on to sell later on. This is a dude who, I don't know how anybody cannot have the utmost respect for everything this dude has done. His entire lifespan, if you go over it, this is just a guy who is just honorable. A guy that you could have in the trenches, in the foxhole, and you know he's going to have your back. I bring up Triple H all the time because Paul Levesque is the perfect example of somebody that'll tell you something to your face, and when you turn around, he'll put that knife right in your fucking back, bro. Et tu, Brute? Paul Levesque is that guy who will bring in Sting just to beat him at WrestleMania to show that even in WCW, Even though I was a mid-carder, I could have beat you, the main eventer. That's what Paul Levesque thinks. Paul Levesque's the type of dude to screw over China because he knows he's got a chance at the boss's daughter and he can have the whole world of wrestling in his fingertips. So he did such. He did screw over China. He's the dude that'll take out the golden shovel and he'll fucking take one superstar after another and he'll throw them to the wayside. He'll make sure they're buried as long as Paul stays in that top spot. This is Paul Levesque. He has proved this time and time again. He raises his NXT kids. They call him Papa H. Tells them, oh yeah, you follow my lead, you're gonna get the fucking world. And then when the axe comes down on them, he goes away. Has his heart procedure. He's all of a sudden gone when all of the turmoil is taking place. And then we find out by an NXT producer that he was in the original meetings where Vince McMahon said, they were talking. Vince and Paul were talking for months and months before this rehaul. They're all in lockstep. They all know exactly what is about to happen. And H goes away. Now that the smoke is starting to settle and NXT has been gutted, guess who's coming back to work next month before WrestleMania? Right back to NXT to recruit. Paul Levesque. Never once did I hear Paul Levesque standing up for any of his kids that got done dirty. No, you see, that's not an honorable man. So you can play the violin for somebody like Paul Levesque and you can take a shit on an honorable man like Shane McMahon, but don't think that BC's gonna follow suit. And it comes to a point where a lot of people think I'm talking about one or two people in this community. It's just not the case. I don't have the time to follow anybody's content or read anybody's stories. It's from journalists to reporters to content creators to podcasters. It's around the board. It's things I come across that just are befuddling and just downright false. I don't just talk about one or two people, contrary to what many believe. I'm talking about a whole spiel, a bunch of schmucks in the community that always come up with these narratives and agendas like Shane McMahon is destroying WWE, when it's just false. This dude comes back not because he needs this or the money. He comes back because he loves this. He loves doing crazy shit in there for our entertainment. He wants to compete for his kids that are growing up, want to see him in that ring. And every time Shane comes down for BC, man, there's a fun vibe, man. You know that anything can happen because Shane McMahon's a crazy son of a bitch. Half wrestler, half stuntman. That's fine. I used to love Mick Foley coming down as well. Mick Foley was never the best wrestler, but damn, you knew a Mick Foley match was going to be fun as fuck. Probably one of the best, if not the best, on the card. It's going to be one of the matches you're going to remember more than any on the card. You know, if you're not counting the Rumble, Shane McMahon only had 5 matches since 2019. I'm going to say that again. 5 matches in the last 3 years. 5. And he lost every single one of them. 2019, you can go back to, man. Extreme Rules. He and McIntyre lost to The Undertaker and Roman Reigns. Shane McMahon putting over Roman because that's what his dad wanted him to do. Okay, you got it. You're the fucking boss. Roman goes over. Then we go to SummerSlam 2019, his very next match, where he loses to Kevin Owens. He puts Kevin Owens over, right? Kevin Owens, fresh on the fucking main roster. Kevin Owens is going to get a lot of steam. Shane McMahon's going to help him get there. Of course, if you book him tragically after, then Shane McMahon losing to Owens is not going to mean anything because Vince is still going to ruin Owens' booking. And that's ended up what happened, by the way. But he put Kevin Owens over at SummerSlam. Then we go to SmackDown Live, where Shane McMahon lost to Chad Gable. Chad Gable, this young, up-and-coming, fresh talent, Shane thought. I'm going to put him over. Vince destroyed that, though. But Shane did lose to Chad Gable. We don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about how Shane's not helping people. He's not creating spots. He's holding talent down. Then we went over to SmackDown's 20th anniversary, October 4th, 2019, where Shane McMahon lost to Kevin Owens yet again. Twice now to Kevin Owens. He's trying to give Kevin Owens the moon, but Vince McMahon is doing everything in his power to ruin it. But Shane McMahon lost twice now to Kevin Owens. Then he was gone for a year and a half. Gone. Gone. Anybody that says Shane's ruining WWE, or one of the problems anyway, he was gone for a year and a half. Guess how many stars were created? Fucking none. But Shane McMahon's the issue. Year and a half he's gone, and he only came back for WrestleMania last year to do what? To put over Braun Strowman. Because that's what Vince wanted him to do. He said, okay, I'm not going to ruffle any feathers, man. I want to put over the talent you need me to put over. And I want to give the fans something fucking awesome. So there you go. You got a cage match. You know Shane McMahon's going to do some crazy ass shit. It's one of the only matches where you're actually intrigued for. Because Shane McMahon is an intriguing son of a bitch. He comes back after a year and a half just to put over Braun Strowman. And could you imagine the storyline that he was given? I feel so bad for this guy. He comes back and he has to do a stupid storyline. Where the whole story is revolving around Braun being stupid. That's not Shane McMahon who came up with that. That's not Shane's decision. That's what his father fucking wanted. He tries so hard to bite his tongue because he had that blowout with Vince years ago. He's just trying to be better. It's Vince's company. All right, I want to come back. I just want to put over the talent you want. So he puts over Kevin Owens twice. He puts over Roman. He puts over Chad Gable. He puts over Braun Strowman. And Vince destroyed all of it. He never did anything with those victories for them and the losses that Shane racked up. The last 3 years, his last 5 matches, he has lost. But we act with this fake outrage in the community that Shane McMahon is a fucking issue. When people like BC, it's a breath of fresh air whenever I see this son of a bitch. He comes back for the Rumble, and he was the only person in the entire Rumble I gave a fuck about. He was one of only 2 surprises, not counting Drew McIntyre, because he was only gone for a few weeks. Bad Bunny was the only other one at entry 27. Shane McMahon entry 28. That was the only son of a bitch I gave a fuck about. And people want to say, oh, he was difficult to work with and that he didn't want to do what Vince told him. That was the latest report. That was what the video was about yesterday. One person finally in the last 10 plus years stood up to Vince McMahon, and it was Shane. Much respect for standing up to the old bastard. And the report says that it pissed the producers off because he openly buried the producers. He was openly going against Vince McMahon and standing up to him. He was even upsetting people around him, maybe even some superstars, because he was finally saying enough. This cannot keep going on the way that Daddy Vince wants, because nothing is going to be accomplished, nothing's going to be fun, nothing's going to be intriguing, nothing's going to be exciting, and nobody will give a fuck for the future. Shane finally said enough. Shane McMahon made the Royal Rumble match less worse. Without Shane McMahon, you're left with one surprise, Bad Bunny. And people want to cry because they're saying he may have booked himself as the final 4. So what the fuck you want to see? You want to see your precious AJ Styles in there after he's been booked like an idiot the whole last year and a half, tied to the hip of Omos. And he's in the final 4 and he's going to lose anyway. Okay, so you get 2 extra minutes of AJ Styles. Are you going to cry about it? Or did you want Rico shit in there? Or Madcap Moss? Or Happy Corbin, or Sheamus. The entire list in the Men's Royal Rumble were a bunch of mid-carders, and that's sad, because a lot of them were supposed to be main eventers, but they're not booked as such. I respect the shit out of them, but they fucking suck, booking-wise. Thus, I can't look at them as superstars. Thus, when their music hits, I don't give a shit. I have no emotion. It's gotten to the point where even when AJ Styles or a Shinsuke Nakamura comes down to the ring and their music hits, I have no emotion. Somehow Vince McMahon has made me not give a fuck. Shane McMahon's music hits? I'm at the edge of my seat. I'm like, oh shit, man, here comes some energy. Here comes some fun. Here comes some passion. Here comes the money. And there's this fucking agenda and narrative in the community that every time Shane's around, oh, here's Shane again, taking up TV time. Here's Shane, he's gonna bury talent. Here's Shane McMahon, he shouldn't be here. Why shouldn't he be here? He's fucking more entertaining than 99% of the fucking roster, and every match he has, lately anyway, the past several years, he loses. He's just there to put over talent. And you know the latest word, what this whole cold open is really about? The latest word we're getting is that all he wanted was to have a match with Austin Theory at Mania to put Theory over because he thought that's a great, crazy storyline. It's fucking awesome. Crazy in a good way. Isn't that what BC has been saying this whole fucking week? This is sitting in their lap. Austin Theory should not be in any title picture right now. Build him up. Make people and casuals that don't really know about Theory build him up in a big storyline. So when he gets a title in the future, it's huge. beating Shane McMahon at WrestleMania in a storyline that's sitting in their lap, this just makes sense. And because it makes sense, Vincent Kennedy McMahon doesn't want to do it. Because it makes sense, and because he knows that Shane McMahon is smart as fuck, he doesn't want to do it. Shane McMahon got pissed because he's like, the fuck, it's sitting, I'll put the dude over. We can have a fun storyline. I could eliminate him in the Rumble and you get pissed off, and on Raw, you question me. Why did you put my young talent over that I'm grooming? And Shane's like, what are you talking about? I'm your son. Wouldn't you be happy for me? No, I'm grooming this kid. You're not my son. You stopped being my son years ago. I can see right through you. You want all of this when I'm gone. Well, you're never gonna get it. And he can even smack the taste out of Shane's mouth. And this starts something with Austin and Shane deeper. And Vince McMahon tells Austin Theory, by the end of the night, you better make a statement out of Shane. Shane could be leaving. He could be going to a fucking, he could be going to into a Prius or a limousine. I don't give a fuck. But he's in the parking lot about to take off. He's saying bye to some of his peers, some of the wrestlers. And he gets fucking attacked by maybe Austin Theory. Puts his fucking don't piece through the limousine window or the Prius's window. Remember AJ Styles and Shane McMahon's feud? I bet you do. Remember that parking lot battle? AJ Styles and, did I say Sheamus? Shane McMahon. I hope I didn't say Sheamus. Shane McMahon and AJ Styles' feud. Of course you remember it. Shane McMahon is usually in some damn good feuds, man. Damn good storylines, minus the Braun Strowman storyline. But the AJ Styles, Shane McMahon, the whole feud, man, into the match, that whole thing was brilliant. Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon from years ago, and a lot in between. Shane McMahon is always involved in some pretty good storytelling. Now, of course, WWE's been going off the fucking rails, and Vince McMahon has even him doing some stupid shit. But Shane McMahon has always been a beacon of fucking light in a tunnel that is usually damn dark. The story was in their fucking lap, and Vince doesn't want to do it. So Shane McMahon at the Royal Rumble, the reports is he had enough. No, this is not right, man. Let's do X, Y, and Z. You know the damn truth? It doesn't look like Shane got his way with anything, by the way. I think he only had one elimination, and that was Kevin Owens. And anybody saying that he buried Kevin Owens, again, take a look at the track record. He put Owens over twice in the past 3 years, one-on-one. So storyline-wise, it makes sense that he'd be going for Owens. But alright, you want it flipped? You want Owens eliminating Shane? Is that going to make Kevin Owens any better booked? Stop it. Just like the first 2 times Owens beat Shane McMahon, and he still got nothing. So stop crying over that, please. So it didn't look like he booked himself strong. He eliminated one person, and he was in the Final 4 for 2 seconds. And I love how he stuck it to Brock. He didn't make it easy for Brock to eliminate him. Because even Shane knew that that's ridiculous, that this dude is coming back an hour after being done dirty by Paul Heyman. And this should let it breathe. You shouldn't see Brock Lesnar until Friday SmackDown when he's pissed off and looking for Roman and Paul. But no, an hour later, he's throwing the entire Royal Rumble participants out of the ring in 1 minute. And then he's pointing up at a burning WrestleMania sign laughing. Shane knew that was wrong. Shane was going to make it hard for Brock. I'm glad Shane McMahon spoke up. I'm glad Shane McMahon said that this Royal Rumble sucks on paper, and it's probably going to suck out there when we perform it. Shane McMahon knew there was issues. I don't give a fuck if the next report we hear is that Shane McMahon booked himself to eliminate Austin Theory, because that would be fucking making sense. I wouldn't care if the next report said Shane McMahon wanted to win the Rumble, because guess what? I would take that over Brock Lesnar winning the Rumble. Because it would set something up better. Brock Lesnar didn't need that shit. Shane wins it, and Vince McMahon takes the opportunity from him because he was grooming Austin Theory. So he tells Shane McMahon, what the hell were you doing? He says, I won the Rumble. I'm your son. I thought you'd be proud. No. You're not getting that opportunity. You'll never get a title shot. And Shane never gets the title shot. It's literally an asterisk in the record books. 100 years from now, they'll look back and say, Shane won the Rumble, but he never got the fucking opportunity. Austin Theory ends up beating him at Mania. I would have been fine with it. Again, not my first fucking choice. It's not like when I'm going over a Rumble, I'm saying Shane McMahon wins. But looking back at it in hindsight, Monday morning quarterback, I would take that over fucking Brock. Because Brock's storyline with Roman died when he won the Rumble. Paul Heyman had something awesome where he turned on Brock. It's perfect. You start SmackDown with Brock Lesnar in the parking lot waiting for Paul and Roman to come to the arena. And that's how you kick off this fucking next chapter in their feud to Mania. But no, by the end of the night, he's pointing at a sign, smiling. He comes out on Raw, smiling. He's going to be in a WWE Elimination Chamber match for the championship. Brock Lesnar, it's like Roman Reigns is now an afterthought. But after he was done dirty by Paul, it was a main focal point. It was done horrible. So you're damn right, I would have taken Shane winning it over Brock. My point is anything that Shane McMahon, anything that he believes, that he feels is better than what Vince McMahon is putting out there, I'm going to put stock in it. I'm going to give Shane McMahon the benefit of the doubt way before I give Vince McMahon 1 iota, 1 ounce of fucking trust. Because he hasn't earned that in 10 plus years. I respect Shane McMahon to believe, because trust me, everybody has a damn good word to say about Shane. He is very well liked. I don't think I've ever heard anything bad about Shane O'Mac. He's such a genuinely good dude. So I trust any decision that he thought would have been better, and there's just narrative in the community that he was just trying to book himself strong, and he was just trying to make himself look good. When you look at the last several years, his last 5 matches alone, he's just putting everyone over. And his latest idea from what we're hearing is he just wants to put Austin Theory over at Mania because it's the perfect fucking scenario for everybody. Everybody wins. But it made too much sense and Vince didn't want to do it. So this dude just wants to put everybody over. But Shane McMahon just wants to make himself look strong. And there's people in the community going, well, I'll agree with Shane, but only if I find out that he wasn't trying to book himself strong. Shut the fuck up. I hope he was trying to book himself strong because he looked at a list in that Rumble and he said, who the fuck is gonna care about any of them? Shane McMahon was probably trying to give us 1 iota of some semblance of a good Rumble. Because he was in the Final 4, he shouldn't have been there. Yeah. Put Rico shit in there, put Sheamus in there, put Happy fucking Corbin and Madcap Moss, put all of them in the Final 4 like it gave a fuck. Everybody was slingshotted over the top rope by Brock anyway, ruining any storyline that him and Roman had an hour before. WWE has 1,000,001 problems, Shane McMahon is not one of them. Much respect to Shane, I don't care what the fuck report comes out. 24 hours, 48 hours, a year from now, 5 years from now. Shane McMahon knows exactly what is wrong in that company, and he's the first fucking person to stand up for himself and probably everybody else, and probably us fans just as much. And he got das Boot. And now he won't be a part of fucking Mania. And that sucks for people like BC because I know he's one of the only shining bright spots whenever he's around. But you'll get your wish, all the little cry fuckers in the community. He can't take a spot now. Yeah, we got him out. Now we can have Rico shit versus Sheamus. Now we can get that awesome Austin Theory versus Omos match. Because that makes sense. Maybe we can hit Austin Theory versus Finn Balor again. This time at Mania. Storyline is going to be half-assed compared to fucking Shane versus Theory. Theory beating Finn Balor at WrestleMania isn't going to do any more impact than him beating Shane. Him beating Shane would make more of an impact because of the fucking story, because of the significance, because of the fucking stature. Nobody thinks anymore. Everybody's a fucking sheep. They read their little fucking, their favorite journalists. They watch their little podcasters. And the narrative is, oh, Shane McMahon bad, Shane McMahon horrible, Shane McMahon holding people down, Shane McMahon boring, Shane McMahon evil. And it's probably the same fucking people that talked nothing but shit about Wyndham Rotunda Bray Wyatt, even though he was the only captivating part in a 3-hour Monday Night Raw. The only. Top merchandise seller. But they shit on this dude one after another, calling him the worst fucking gimmick of the fucking year. The same year that there was Retribution, by the way. These are probably the same schmucks. Any semblance, anything that could be good in WWE, they quickly try to stuff it down. Make it act as if it is not good, as if it's actually one of the worst parts of the show because it helps feed their narrative and their agenda. But if somebody like Wyndham Rotunda showed up to AEW, yeah, Wyndham's there, man, Bray, this is fucking huge, man. Yeah. I like to do little side-by-side bits, right, when that happens. All the times they talk shit about Bray Wyatt. He's horrible. But in AEW, yeah, man, they're gonna utilize him right. Motherfucker, he was the top merchandise seller. He was the only captivating part in a 3-hour fucking shitfest that's known as Monday Night Raw. But he was bad. The Fiend was not fucking bad. Woods' mysterious Wyatt family Bray Wyatt wasn't fucking bad. Bray Wyatt was fucking amazing. Everything he touched turned to gold. No, he was too fucking good and people got scared because it didn't fit their narrative. Fuck that shit. And those type of people in this community, they can fuck off. And BC will show them straight through the brick wall. 'Cause I'll put them there! Much respect to Shane McMahon. That is your half an hour cold open. Basically just an extension of yesterday's half an hour. I wanted to go an hour yesterday. I couldn't. I was out in the world, lots to do. But I fucking extended that shit this time, motherfucker. Damn right we gonna fucking stand behind Shane McMahon. Damn right we gonna raise a toast. A fucking salute to Shane McMahon. Because he's that son of a bitch. And on this channel, in this community, the Amplified unit, real recognizes real. We respect those that stand up for themselves. Unlike No Balls Levesque, Shane McMahon, he's garnered, he has earned BC's respect. And that's hard to do. I do not give my respect out easily. There's probably only a handful of individuals in the last 10 years that have earned BC's respect. Shane McMahon is that motherfucker. I don't care about these reports or anything going forward. Shane McMahon was the only bright part of that Royal Rumble. Without him, that Royal Rumble sucked even worse. Shane McMahon can book himself to win the motherfucker, and it would have been better than what we got. Just the truth. I'm just bringing you the fucking truth. I don't have a narrative or an agenda. You're just gonna get raw honesty. And speaking of, man, we got AEW Dynamite, a big main event with MJF and CM Punk. A lot of people were wondering, are they really gonna put that match on? Or is this just gonna be one of those deals where Punk gets beat up before the match and it never really takes place and they save it maybe for another month? For the pay-per-view. No. Not only did they wrestle last night, damn, the time that they got. We're gonna go over all of it, man. From top to bottom. AEW Dynamite, February 2nd, 2022. A big swig of coffee, and we get this shit rocking. Damn, man. Yeah, we gotta do an upper bot again, man. BC's been hitting legs hard consecutively this week. Consecutive days. That's not always the brightest thing to do. I just been in a zone, man. I just been killing legs lately. But somehow it doesn't matter, man. I think I banged out my delts for so many years that I cannot work on the delts for weeks, and they're still gonna be fucking diesel, dude. One single delt is like the size of Hornswoggle's head. So I'm walking around with like 2 fucking Hornswoggle heads, brah. Walking in the fucking Starbucks, I'm banging baristas with each delt. Banging motherfuckers out of line. But, leg day, man. We've been crushing legs lately. We gotta get back to the full upper body, man. But we looking fucking good, man. We gonna be smashing out spring, summer. Let's get back on track, dude. February, so I can't hit the gym till like probably 1 a.m., dude. We got a stacked day. I do have a gap between, well, a little bit later this evening, but I was actually going to film something for the channel. We'll see. Anyway, I don't know. I might not be able to get to the gym till like 1 a.m. Then I'll go to bed around 3, get an hour of sleep, and then 4 a.m. we gotta start rocking something special tomorrow. Anyway, I'm going over shit in my own fucking dome piece, man. Going over my own plans, probably trying to remind myself what I need to do. AEW Dynamite, February 2nd, 2022. Mox defeats Wheeler Yuta. Now, I know you're thinking this is a fucking rematch from, I believe it was October 16th's show, where Mox totally just squashed, Wheeler Yuta. So a lot of people that didn't know the deal, they just tuned in last night and they're like, Mox is defeating Wheeler Yuta in the opening segment of Dynamite? You're probably thinking the last couple of weeks they've had pretty damn good openings where they've been over a 1.2 in the ratings. So you gotta start to think, is Mox and Wheeler Yuta gonna go over a 1-2 in the opening segment? It might be. I wouldn't be shocked if it's actually just in the 1-1s. But they usually start off strong where people are trying to see if they should stick around for the 2 hours. So they could eclipse the 1-2. My point is, not as strong as an opening as the past several weeks, obviously. And that's not shade to Wheeler Yuta. It was a last-second replacement, man. Brian Kendrick, that's right. Former WWE talent, Brian Kendrick. He was supposed to make his AEW debut last night against Mox because Tony Khan's roster, his AEW roster, it's not big enough. He doesn't have enough people on the roster. That's a little bit of sarcasm. A little bit of a laugh. A little bit of a joke for you. Tony Khan has one of the biggest rosters I've ever seen in pro wrestling. Probably the biggest. But he keeps bringing people in. Brian Kendrick. People can't even get TV time in AEW. Or they're just relegated to dark or YouTube matches. I mean, Jay Lethal, one of the best wrestlers in the world to be. See, he's one of my favorite wrestlers, man. His name is Jay Lethal. You probably don't know too much about him because he's only had one big match in AEW. That was with Sammy Guevara, and then he was just kind of put down to dark, I guess, or just not used. It's sad, man. But anyway, Brian Kendrick is going to get some TV time. He's going to open up AEW Dynamite. Okay, so Brian Kendrick is going to have this match with Mox. And then we find out, like a lot of us found out minutes before the show, that he was pulled. Tony Khan pulled this dude. And you're thinking, what the fuck is he? Brian Kendrick was pulled minutes before. Is everything good? Apparently, comments that he made, I'm not going to go over exactly what they were. I did skim through, and it's kind of like unsettling. But you guys can check it out yourself, man. But he made comments in the past, and I guess people in the locker room felt uneasy about it. Went to Tony Khan, this is what we're hearing. Went to Tony and said, dude, I don't want to share the locker room with the dude. And Tony was like, fuck, all right, well, I'm not going to disrupt the locker room for this newbie. So they pulled this guy. Now, normally, guys, I'm not a big fan of the cancel culture shit. I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of just bringing things up from the past and saying, now you must be, now you're canceled forever. You know what I mean? It's just stupid to me. It's stupid to me. It's silly, man. I'm glad that we're finally coming around to that. Now we're actually joking about it more. Dan Lambert made a joke about the whole cancel culture shit last night. And now I think people are seeing the absurdity in it. And I think we're moving in the right direction. You can't do that, man. You can't just say that they did something in the past, so they're doomed forever. They made a mistake in the past, or they said stupid shit in the past, and now they're damned to an eternal pit of misery. I'm not a fan of that. So initially I thought, oh, what the fuck? He said something, all right. He fucking probably has moved on. He's probably apologized for the fucking thing. He probably doesn't feel that way anymore. Or he will say, no, dude, I'm fucking, my bad. Or I'll keep that to myself, or I won't say shit like that. I was thinking, this is stupid. You're gonna pull him off a show for something he said, for his own belief. But then I saw some of this shit, and apparently he's like a wild conspiracy theorist type of dude. In some of the shit that I read, man, I was kind of like, ooh. Like, I could see why people just don't want to be around a dude that thinks that way. So, I don't know, man. I don't know how you guys feel about the Kendrick situation. I don't think I would I don't think I would try to get him out of a job. Probably somebody I don't know if I would want to, mingle with them. I mean, some dude, some of the things that his ways of thinking, man, they were like, whoa, like, bro, tone that shit. Some of the shit was literally like, even if you think that, those are the things maybe to keep to yourself, unless you have like legit evidence, just unequivocally, just like people cannot deny that evidence. Maybe you should just keep it to yourself, bro, because a lot of people actually lost their lives and they're only survived by their parents, and they're like, bro, what the fuck did you just say? Anyway, that's what I'm going to say about it, man. I'm not going to go into detail with what was said because it's not my place. I haven't met the dude. I haven't had conversations with him. I can just go by this, and I could see why people don't want to necessarily have him in a locker room. It just sucks that he had to lose a job over past statements and his way of thinking. I mean, that also doesn't feel right to me. I don't know. We live in a different world today, man. BC's an old school cat, so I'm still trying to get used to the world that we now live in. You know what I mean? This is a new world for BC. I'm old school, man. I grew up in projects. I made bad decisions. I went to prison. I learned my lessons. I grew up. I matured. I learned the way of the world. I didn't graduate high school. I graduated the streets of hard knocks, man. From projects to prison, from Boston to New York City, I learned everything the hard way. In your face, smash mouth. A real life badass son of a bitch. But I've gotten better and I've learned from mistakes and I try not to make the same ones. So I like to give people the benefit of the doubt if they've earned it. But I just don't know enough about Kendrick to go in any more detail, man. That's all I'm going to say about it. I spent the several minutes because this is a big story, guys. Minutes before, we all found out that he got pulled from the match in Wheeler, Utah. And again, this is a rematch. I believe it was October 16th where Mox destroyed Wheeler, Utah. So I believe this was a rematch from then. So a lot of people do remember that, like BC, and we're like, well, we're getting that again? Like, that's the best replacement you have when you have a roster of 136 people? But I do love the finish. Mox has enough fucking around and starts smashing Yuta with the elbow fucking drills. He just starts ramming his elbow into the dome piece of Wheeler Yuta and then delivers the paradigm shift. So I always love that combo, bro. It just makes Mox look so badass. Post-match, Bryan Danielson hits the ring, throws all of us for a loop when he says that he doesn't want to fight Mox. He wants to join Mox and run AEW. He says he wants to take people like Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta and take them under their wings. Now, this goes against everything Danielson said, though, when he first got to AEW. He said CM Punk came to AEW to help the kids coming up in the company, but not him. He came to AEW to beat them all and doesn't care about helping any of them out. So if you're like BC and you remember that, this didn't make sense. Your whole spiel when you came to AEW was you're going to be the anti-Punk. Punk's there to help the talent coming up, and you're there to beat them all and show them you're the best. And now here we are just a few months later, and now all of a sudden you want to create a whole stable of young up-and-comers. I hope you guys understand that it doesn't make sense, and I'm sure people that don't want to take the criticism, they're going to try to make sense of it. Now, BC, it makes sense for the following reasons. And then they're going to say, BC, it's going to lead to this, this, and this. So just enjoy it. It's going to be great. Motherfucker, I don't need a lesson like I'm back in fucking high school. It's professional wrestling. Simplify the shit. You can be uber creative with captivating television and still not make it a fucking history exam or a fucking biology quiz. Trust me, we're gonna have enough quizzes come Monday Night Raw with Randy or with RK Bro and Alpha Academy when they have a quiz off and they're gonna do trivia. I don't need to do that shit for my storylines. I'm putting two and two together up front. I'm seeing what makes sense from the jump. Bryan said one thing and now he's saying another. He did one thing and now he's doing another. You're damn right, it better lead to something amazing. Don't worry, a year from now, it's going to be Mox versus Bryan Danielson, basically. It's going to be long-term storytelling. Okay. Hope it's done great. That's all I'm saying, bro. I'll let this breathe. Give it a chance because Mox and Bryan Danielson deserve that. They have earned that over the years because both are so badass. So I'm going to believe in them both. I'm going to believe in Tony Khan because he does more good than bad. But I just see some logic gaps on why he would even, I needed more in the initial promo is what I'm saying. Right? No matter what it leads to, in the initial promo, you have to now rectify all of the bullshit you said previous then. Now all of a sudden you want to run AEW with a stable of youngsters? When you got there, you wanted to beat them all. I really hope you guys understand where BC's coming from. Instead of just giving me an essay of why this is happening, I understand, dude. I've thought all about where it leads to. I'm miles ahead of the rest of the community. I get it. It doesn't make it any better. You can't just contradict yourself in your initial promo that's going to alter your character trajectory. I hope that makes sense. And also, I'd be lying if I said Mox and Bryan on a team is something I need to see. I know that's going to be tough to hear, guys, because it's two really good wrestlers on their own. So I'm sure the rest of the community is probably getting a hard-on over this. Like, Mox and Bryan Danielson. Listen, I don't need to see them in a tag team, bro. I don't. I need to see them as badly as I need to see Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. I don't. Two good wrestlers, leave them on their own, let them rock. I don't want to see them for 6 months in a tag team just to fucking have a match. I didn't need to see Hangman Page and Omega in a fucking tag team for a year. I didn't. It just doesn't do anything for me, man. Stuffing Mox in a tag team? Mox and Bryan Danielson in a fucking leaders of a stable? Maybe I'm just too creative. Maybe I just have all these plans for Mox that I wish Tony would do. I have all these great matches and things set up for him, and Bryan Danielson can be a match, but I don't necessarily want them together for too long. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna give it a chance because it's Mox and Bryan Danielson. They've earned our respect. We love those dudes, and I hope it's great. I'll be there for it. I'll be there, man. I'll be there with my pen, my fucking notepad. I'll have my coffee. I'll be fucking rocking out. I want to see it succeed. I want to see the best. I have reservations on this. I'm going to be the one in the community you're going to come back to if this all falls apart. And you're going to go, well, BC, you were right. I have reservations, but I'm going to let it breathe. I'm going to let it see where it goes. Brandy Rhodes is face-to-face with Dan Lambert. Lambert continues to verbally bash Brandy. Brandy very gently slaps Lambert. I mean, literally like a love tap. That's basically like, hey, come to my hotel room in 5 minutes. You know, that was like a little flirty love tap. You know, like Cody goes to bed at 9, meet me in the shower at 10. What the fuck did she do? She just brushed Dan Lambert, bro. Dan Lambert was probably fucking turned on with that shit. He turned around, in fact. You know, he's probably like, stay down, boy, stay down. Love tap by Brandy. Paige Van Zant then hits the ring. She's followed by the entire women's locker room to break up Brandy and Van Zant. Now, this was a little extreme, maybe? The entire women's locker room came down to break this up. Maybe a bit too much. Just a little bit. Just a little bit too much. I love the thought and the passion behind the segment. I love the pull-apart brawl. You know, get everyone orchestrated, go out there, make this big chaotic scene. I love it. But for Paige Van Zant and Brandy Rhodes, bro? And I love Brandy. Brandy takes a lot of heat in this community. I fucking stick up for her all the time because Brandy's fucking awesome, I think. I mean, wrestling-wise, of course, a shit ton of improvement needs to be done. But I like Brandy, man. She is genuine. She's all in on this shit. She's all in to make it better, this product, that company. A lot of people don't understand that about Brandy. And I actually enjoy her promos for the most part. You know, it does come from a sense of fucking realism in her. And you can tell there's a lot she wants to prove to everybody. So there is that realism in her. I wish that same realism was in that smack. But again, Paige Van Zant, Brandy, pull-apart brawl right then, the beef isn't strong enough for that between Paige Van Zant and Brandy. I could see if this was like some feud that was about to be in like a Hell in a Cell or some shit, or a Lights Out match for AEW. But like, I don't know, Paige Van Zant and Brandy at that moment didn't feel like they needed the entire locker room to clear out for a pull-apart, chaotic brawl. Seemed a little extreme, but that's what they performed out there, man. Again, I love the passion, the thought behind it, man. At least they put a lot of effort into organizing that, making it seem like this is some real fucking beef going on. So I give them credit. I just don't know if I would have done that this early with them anyway. I mean, I know they have an ongoing beef. It just doesn't... Brandy and Paige Van Zant just don't seem like they have that type of issue to warrant that type of brawl. Yet. They do now. I guess they just fucking cascaded that to the mountaintops. House of Black was up next. Malachi Black and Brody King defeat Pac and Penta. This was a good match, ending in a mist. You guys know what I'm talking about if you saw it, man. Of course, that mist was spewed out. Not by Asuka, by Malachi. And that helps out the House of Black garnered the victory. You gotta believe at some point Pac is gonna join up with them. I think that makes sense. I could see him with that group. And where that's leading to. I never wanted Malachi in a group. You know, I just think that I wanted to see so much out of him singly at first. Maybe in a few years you can put him in a stable. I didn't think he needed that yet. But, good match though. We end hour number 1 with Nyla Rose defeating Ruby Soho. With a pretty good combo sequence. I know. Nyla Rose, what, Paisley? Yeah. Pretty good combo sequence. She did like a swanton to the back of Ruby. So Ruby is laying, I believe, face down. Nyla's up top, and she fucking swantons onto the back. And she landed this perfectly, man. Perfectly positioned. Anybody who's ever been in the ring, you know it's kind of hard to hit those swanton-type moves because you got to hit it right. And by right, meaning you hit it right in the sweet spot, but enough where you roll off. Not hurting the individual and not hurting you in the process, and you land correctly. It's very hard to pull off, man. A lot of times you see people try to do it, and they land square into the fucking gut. And it's just stiff. She landed to where it was perfectly in the sweet spot, rolled right off, and then it went right into the Beast Bomb. So it was a pretty good combo sequence there. Ruby Soho, you don't like to see her lose. Several matches now already. But I mean, it was a believable way. So, I mean, you can't watch this match or at least the finish and go, fuck, there's no way, man. No, there is a way. That was a pretty badass combo sequence. They actually did this perfectly. It wasn't a fruit roll-up like you see in the company up north a million fucking times. Not lately, though. Vince has stopped that for the most part. Maybe these fucking people are finally listening to BC and getting word. The agents, the producers, maybe they're trying to stay away from the fruit roll-up, and when they present the final copy to Vince, they hope that he doesn't think about the roll-up. But I don't mind that at all from Nyla. You know, it sucks to see Ruby lose, but I thought it was actually a good match. I did. Nyla Rose and Ruby was good, and I love the finish even more. So what it leads to, that's in the eye of the Tony Khan. Not the eye of the beholder, eye of the Tony Khan. That's where we'll find out what this victory does for Nyla Rose. You know, I hope this is not just I hope they don't have anything, and then it's just like they're just 50. They're just picking winners, and then people like Ruby are just 50-50 booked. AEW Dynamite, February 2nd, 2022, hour number 2. Before we get to the second hour, man, or at least the meat of the second hour, I gotta give props to a little filler segment that aired beforehand, and it was with the Gun Club, and they took out Jungle Boy backstage, and then they took him outside the arena in the snow because there was this big snowstorm in Chicago, and they fucked him up some more, threw him into this, like, snowbank, and then they run off down the road. Bro, I fucking love this. It was quick, too. A quick segment, but it was gold. If you watch this channel enough, you know that BC loves to take it out of the ring, man. It's everything in pro wrestling these days. It's so redundant and formulaic. It becomes literally just a boring television show, no matter what's going on. If you're just constantly in the ring, You gotta do something fun backstage. Not even just like a face-to-face backstage or a little beatdown. Like, you gotta do it. You gotta get creative, man, if you're gonna have one of those locker room brawls even. But go back to the locker room. Do some interesting stuff. Go into catering. Go into the parking lot. Go into the streets. Back in the day, they would go into the streets outside the arena like they did when they took out Jungle Boy last night. You know, that's fun, man. And I'm not saying like WWE does it, where they go into a dog. I hate to keep bringing up WWE, but it's a good comparison. Like, they'll go to a dog park, and they'll have R-Truth, who's actually a good wrestler. You probably wouldn't know that the last 10 years. The way he's booked, like he's dressed up as a Christmas tree, a hamburger. He's dressed up as a fucking light pole. Dressed up as a stop sign, trying to capture a Target championship. But, you know, they'll go to a dog park and they'll have R-Truth dressed up as a Christmas tree, chasing a ninja who's in a Tozawa is already a ninja, and then he's into a garbage, like a garbage outfit, trying to disguise himself, and they're trying to chase Dana Brooke and Tamina Snuka, who Tamina's chasing Dana while eating popcorn or watching. I don't even know what's going on, bro. That's not what I'm talking about, right? If you're gonna go to a dog park, make it fun. I used the same example when they were in that dog park weeks ago, man. I would have like Finn Balor, right? And make it look like they're filming a documentary and it's going to be personal. And they have him in this setting where it's intimate. He's in the park and he gets fucking jumped by somebody like Austin Theory. I think I used that same example. This is when they were having their little match several weeks ago. And I said, well, that's where I would have used the park. Let's create something cool. Theory actually beats the shit out of this dude, and it's real. It's not a fucking Christmas tree chasing down a ninja garbage can who's chasing down a popcorn wailing flying Tamina. And there's fucking Reggie and Dana Brooke trying to hide out underneath the cove. I'm like, you spent the time and the energy to take the wrestlers all out to this park, and that's what you came up with? We need more realism and less goofy segments. I don't need to see scooter races. AEW got it right, man. If you're gonna go outside into a snowstorm, let's beat the fuck out of somebody. Let's escalate something. In 60 seconds, they beat the shit out of Jungle Boy, took him outside, threw him into the snow to fuck with him. Like a bunch of juveniles that just vandalized the school, and they beat up one of the fucking school nerds, and then they run off. That's what it seemed like. It's perfect for the Gun Club. Beat the shit out of Christian last week in a cool segment outside by the trailers. I mentioned that because I loved it. I loved this. Take it outside of the ring once in a while and escalate your feuds. Anyway, I know that was a long time on that, but that's what I mean about doing the little things correctly. You can't have a great show by just doing the big things right. All the little things have to come into play. Little details are not so minor in the grand scheme of it all. Much props to that segment, man. Hangman Page is being interviewed by Tony Schiavone ahead of his Texas Death Match next week with Archer. Archer cuts him off, cascades to the ring for a fight. In a fight he got, man. Or not really. It was more like just a one-sided ass-whipping by Archer. Archer actually turns the steel steps onto their side and choke slams Hangman Page onto the steel steps. And again, they were sideways, so they were a little bit more elevated. But Archer is like 9'5" anyway. So it didn't matter how high they were. Page was going on to him. And then he proceeds to get Page up in that blackout through a table. So he puts the blackout through a fucking table. I didn't even see the table set up. I just saw the blackout. I'm like, where's he gonna sling him? Into the post? No, he put him right through a fucking table. Look, this is a mega rushed title match with zero, and I mean zero, time to build properly. This is literally next week. And it was literally just an inkling in everybody's world just a couple weeks ago. So this is as rushed as you can get. Right up there with Bob Lashley and Brock. For the Rumble. So this is mega rushed, but Archer looked beast status last night. So, I mean, I felt like they did that right with only 1 week left to go and no real build to this. Like, having Archer just beat the fuck out of Page, I felt was the only way to go. And I like how they did it, man. The steel steps, the table, Archer is saying, this is just a piece, man. Next week, I take the whole fucking piece when I take your title. So my point is, you're going to rush something like that, you're tying up your hands. I thought that was the best they could have done at that point. Maybe not the best they could have done. BC, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I would have came up with something even more creative. I always have like 10 different storylines for these type of things. But it wasn't bad at all, man. Again, you only have one more I mean, that match is next week. And then we went right into CM Punk versus MJF. Match time, bell to bell, clocked in at 13 minutes up front. When it was all said and done, I mean, this was well over a half an hour. But at first, it was 13 minutes. And we'll get to why in a second. But very early, they battle into the crowd. Thousands of fans with their masks on their chin, right? Because they're battling through the crowd. And I just see thousands of motherfuckers. Everybody's got their fucking mask on their chin. No shit. Everybody, it seemed. Masks on their chin. Either wear it or don't. But take it off your fucking chin. That is bacteria central, bro. That is literally bacteria central, and it's gross. Don't wear your mask on your chin, people. Wear it or take it off. I don't care which side of the spectrum you're on, by the way. This isn't a fucking, I don't care if you wear them or not. That's your prerogative. Whether you care about people or don't, or people say you care about people or not, I don't care. I'm not your fucking parent. I don't give a fuck if you only care about yourself. I don't give a shit. My thing is, either you're gonna wear it or don't. Don't put it on your fucking chin, bro. That is so gross. And I promise you, you're only gonna get yourself sick in the long run with something else. It was so cringeworthy to see everybody, their fucking thing on their chin. Dudes with full beards and the fucking masks just all up in there. Then they're gonna put it on their fucking nose. Their fucking mouth. Ugh, I was cringing the whole time, bro. Anyway. What? Go back and watch. It was bad. Then you got the one dude in his black and yellow fucking little zip-up hoodie or whatever. The whole time, he didn't care what was happening in the match. He didn't care about the fight next to him. He's trying to get the perfect selfie. He's like, this is gonna get me 26 likes. I'm gonna get a new record, 26 likes. Whole time, and they're moving all around, so he can't get the selfie. Jim Ross even said it. He's like, that weird thing, get around that weird fan, they'll get back to the ring. Jim Ross said something funny, I forgot exactly what. He think, get around that goofy fan. Anyway, I had some fun with that. So finally, they make their way back to the ring. MJF rigs his tape and passes Punk out in his home city of Chicago. Again, there was immense cheatery, the rigged tape. Passes Punk out because of it. That was like, whoa, what? Punk could not answer the 3 with his arm. It just went right down at 3, and Chicago's like, what the fuck? That was odd. MJF wins the match. A massive win for MJF in 13 minutes, but the tape accidentally falls to the canvas post-match. The referee sees it, and he's like, oh, hell no. This is being restarted. You cheated, motherfucker. So the match actually does restart, and it goes another fucking probably 20 some odd. When this was all said and done, guys, it was over a half an hour of match time, and they gave them nearly 40 minutes with entrances and all of that stuff. In the intermission between the first fall and the restarting of the match, it was all approximately 40 minutes. They gave this the bulk of the second hour. And that's why I love that, Tony Khan's decision, because you don't often see that. You saw that much time on the clock, and you're like, they're not going to let him go for 40 minutes, are they? No, Tony Khan has shown time and time again, he's willing to give wrestlers a lot of time. He doesn't have to just pack it just because he has all of this talent. Although he does that often as well. Sometimes we'll see fucking 30 segments in what should be an 8-segment show. 2 hours. But there's other times where he will show you, he'll give them fucking 40, he'll give them an hour. This was a long fucking time, man. So the match is restarted. I love it. The pedigree from the second rope from Punk. So Punk's up on the second rope with him, and he gives the pedigree. He calls it the Pepsi Plunge. But it's a pedigree from the second rope, and that, you know, that's a big fuck you to Triple H. Phil Brooks, CM Punk, can't stand Paul Levesque, Triple H. And Paul Levesque, Triple H cannot stand Phil Brooks, just like Paul Levesque cannot stand people like Jeff Hardy, and vice versa. They just look at Paul Levesque and they just think he is a fake pile of bullshit. By the way, BC does as well. But I love that Pepsi plunge, a big fuck you to Triple H pedigree from the second rope. And then we have the flying Macho Man elbow onto MJF, which almost ends the match because I'm telling you right now, Maxwell literally kicked out at 2 99/100ths. Wardlow comes to the ring, or so. Yeah, I was going to say in a badass way, but he just kind of lets, he has a face-to-face with Punk. And then he kind of just like, he's like, all right, I got no beef. So Punk is like, yeah, that's what I thought. And he gets into the ring, and MJF just kind of rocks Punk with a right hook or a forearm. No, it ended up being a fist, yeah. It looked like just a forearm when I first looked at it, and I was like, what the fuck did Punk get knocked out so easily on a forearm? I wish he would have sold fucking Wardlow bombs like that a few weeks ago. So he gets knocked out from this forearm, and I'm like, what the fuck? And upon replay, we see that Wardlow, he actually threw the ring, the diamond ring, into MJF. I didn't even see that, so it was brilliantly done. I only saw it on replay. And that's what decked CM Punk. So now it all made sense because MJF defeated CM Punk in Chicago with that fucking hook. With that, not AEW's hook. With the fucking fist, with the ring. And he defeated CM Punk with that cheatery. But again, up front, Chicago didn't see it just like BC didn't see it. So it was kind of awkward. The crowd didn't know what to think. Everybody was like, wait, what? We just saw 40 minutes and that's how it ended? The crowd was not feeling it. BC was confused. I'm hoping the crowd later saw it on the Tron. I think they did. And I think MJF was also like, alluding to it, the ring. So this is another one of those controversial finishes for AEW, for Tony Khan. So this is going to take me a second to dissect this, all right? My take on this. Here's the deal. Number one, I know this is going to hurt a lot of people fucking feelings. You're not going to agree with it. That's fine, man. That needed to happen. MJF could not be losing that match, man. He just can't. The dude's got all the momentum in the world. Even if you don't like MJF, guys, I'm going to drop some truth on you right now. The guy is a superstar already. I'm not saying in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. No, right now, he's a superstar, man. Right now, he's got all the momentum in the world. He's a pretty damn solid wrestler, yes, but his promo work alone can carry a storyline for 2-3 months if need be. I mean, when he comes out and he's got a mic in a hand, you pretty much got to put the fucking remote down and let it fly. The guy's a superstar. He's got momentum. Why not rock with it? And if you're going to have him just cheating the entire match, because that's how the first 13 minutes, when it ended the first time, it was cheatery, man. It was rigged. Tape fell to the ground, ref saw it. He ended up winning with another fucking, some more cheatery and schmazzery up his sleeve. So, it's not like Punk just, let's not act like Punk lost by a fruit roll-up. I wouldn't even review the show if that was to happen. It's not like Punk just lost clean. MJF did what he does best. He's a dastardly heel who found a way, cheating, to do what he set out to do, to beat Punk. That was his sole mission. He didn't care about having a fair match. He didn't care about coming out and people viewing him as the better wrestler, skill-wise. He just wanted to make sure everyone knew that he beat CM Punk. So it doesn't matter what category you think he's better or not in, he's just overall better than you. That's his whole gimmick. I'm better than you. Doesn't matter if you put what category. You're better skill-wise, but not in overall wrestling or grappling or aerial assault. Overall, I just beat him. I'm better than him. That's MJF. He doesn't care how he does it. So, I know that's hard to take, and I know it was such an awkward type of finish up front. Nobody knew what was really going on. It was so confusing. You had to see the replay, which on one hand, makes it kind of fun, you know? Oh, you're like, it was like an oh moment. Like, oh, he used the ring. The ring. I get it. So it's good in that way if you want to put on your Inspector Gadget cap. But initially, man, you went 40 minutes and the crowd at the finish was like, what the fuck just happened? It was very anticlimactic in real time. So I totally understand the people that are like, that finish didn't do it for me. But I hope you're not getting it twisted and thinking that that's not the right call. You can change the finish. That's fine. I'll give you that. BC would have came up with a better way to finish that match. I'm not saying it was totally... I'm not going to take a shit on it, though. But I definitely would have came up with a way where it was an ooh-ah moment in real time. Like, on the actual pin, the crowd was like, fuck. This was the right call. It's just... How we got there could have been, should have been a little different. A little bit. But MJF won this match, man. CM Punk lost via cheating from MJF. So he saves a little bit of face here. It's a tough predicament, man. It's tough. I totally get where everybody's coming from. It doesn't feel as right as it should. I totally get it. I'm not playing both sides of the fence here. I literally totally get everybody's argument. It was the right call. It just doesn't feel totally right. It doesn't feel like Punk should be losing already. Just like the whole Wardlow match weeks ago. I didn't feel right about that match. Wardlow should not be losing, obviously, because you've been building him up for the last 2 months in these jobber matches just to lose his first big match, which happened to be with CM Punk. And then you had him destroy CM Punk. 106 Wardlow bombs. And Punk just jumps up onto his feet and does a fucking small package fruit roll-up. Clinching his legs. I mean, that takes energy, and Wardlow can't... I mean, it made Wardlow look so weak. It made his finisher look beyond weak. He can deliver 100, and somebody can just pop up and roll him up. I just didn't feel right about that. I didn't feel right about either one of them losing. Punk could not lose against Wardlow either. I just didn't like the match. This match not being on pay-per-view... already happening last night, I was like, wow, man, MJF has to win it, especially in Chicago. I mean, that would garner him even more heat. Chicago's public enemy #1, but, you know, you're also looking at it like, damn, man, just like that, on TV, Punk is already going to lose. You know, that's not one of those losses that you're going to forget, you know, you're going to remember that. I don't know, you know, you would like that to be maybe on a pay-per-view. I don't know. Monday morning quarterback, dude. It's tough. It's tough. It's another one of those questionable finishes, man. AEW has a lot of questionable, you know, main events especially. They end with people a little bit more confused than anything. It ends with a lot of people not totally on board with the decision. And the reason that's not good, guys, is it takes away from what's actually happening. It takes away from the storyline. It takes away from what we should be excited about going forward, because everybody's talking about just how awkward something was, or how they just can't see it, or how they feel it should have been just done either a little differently or a lot differently. And I think we all can agree that maybe a little differently we would have done that. It's tough. It's tough. It was the right call. I don't know where they go from here. A part 2 with him? CM Punk wants some revenge because he didn't win it clean, and then what? Do you 50-50 book it? Do you beat MJF now? Is that really going to help anybody or anything at this point? What sucks the most is that this could have been better, this whole storyline. When we first heard about MJF and CM Punk, and we just thought about the promos alone are going to be fired. Fire, not fired. It's not going to be Shane McMahon. It's going to be fire, promo-wise alone. And then just the physical. I mean, it's just going to be fun, man. It's going to be a breath of fresh air. And the promos started off hot and heavy, and then we just went into weeks of just the beat my crony storyline. Beat FTR, beat Wardlow, beat Shawn Spears. And it kind of went off the rails. It got stale, got a little lackluster, and then we just got catapulted right into the match last night. I had higher expectations for MJF and CM Punk, and maybe I should have set the bar a little bit lower, but I had higher expectations. We'll see. We'll see where it goes to, man. But the reason I'm not totally taking a shit on this is because, A, I didn't mind the match at all. definitely a decent match. Not one of the best matches I've ever seen. There was the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome," a couple of times during the match. It wasn't awesome, but pretty damn good at times. Overall, a decent match for sure. But I think they got the call right. The finish, I would have tweaked it. And I think the problem is we're all pretty much saying that. We all have such strong opinions on it, and it's taking away from what this all means going forward. And that's what happens in AEW far too often, but we'll see what it leads to. All right. That's it. That's all I can say about it. I'm going to start running in circles. I don't know. I'm complexed by all of it. I hope that turns into a good thing. I don't know. I'm trying here, man. I'm trying. It was an awkward finish, all right? There. PC, man. I got to get the fuck out. I kept you guys here probably way over an hour. Kick the rest of today's ass. Again, I do have a few hours open. I want to do a project for later on the channel. But if there's some big news or anything, maybe I'll go live. You know what I mean? Always stay subscribed and notified, man. Because I go live or I put out a video at the most random times. So you always want to be not just subscribed, you want to be notified, bro. Because that's how you're going to get, instantly, you're going to get the fucking, be the first ones up on the vid. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you for all you guys that smashed that up too. It helps the algorithm. So I really do appreciate that. And that's it. Just for tuning into yesterday's vid, man. What a response that got. I got that up late. It was just to do about Shane McMahon, and you guys really were into it. And it's so good to see people not follow, not shill out to some schmucks in the community that always have narratives and agendas. You guys, you realize real. It's what I said earlier. Real recognizes real. And you guys, my amplified unit, you recognize that BC's the real deal, man. And we just talk real. We don't have to follow an agenda or a narrative. When it's somebody like Shane O'Mac, man, you could give that respect. Report after report is going to try to drag this guy down. He does nothing unless it's for the betterment of everybody. Shane McMahon does nothing but put people over for the past several years because he knows that's the place he should be at now. Let him put over Austin Theory, Vince. No, instead you want to fight him tooth and nail, and then you give him the boot. Fuck you, dude. My amp unit. That's it, dude. Yo, Steffi! Take out your earbuds. You should have been listening to BC the entire fucking time. I'm about to fire this chick. She's about to join fucking Natalie and Kayla. She's about to join them. Hit my music, Steffi. Until next time, amp unit. BC, and I'm out. Check you later. I could have sworn 15 seconds ago I said, hit my music. The big red button, Steffi, that says BC's music. Oh, my, Bam, zoom to the moon. Honeymooner status. Salud,